Sean, what you want to bring him up on the phone? Is that what you want to do? Oh, all right.
I'm on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I don't know what was going on there.
Hey, I don't know what's happening with the Comrex box, but somebody's sleeping on the job there.
Well, it's probably operator error. I would assume it's on you.
No, I'm in good shape. All I have to do is press a couple of buttons, and I'm pretty good at that. I pressed a lot of people's buttons over the years.
Well, I mean, you're like me. You're an older guy. Are you sure you're not confusing it with the remote or something like that?
No, get lost, Greg. Go get your hair cut.
I'm getting my hair cut. There's a couple people on this. There's a couple people on this program who apparently are not.
Well, I can't say as I blame them. I don't want to be bald. I want to be bald by choice. I don't want to be bald by anything.
Right. I got a great set of letters up there on my head. So plus it's different. It's the strength. Like with Samson, the strength is in my hair, Mike. Yeah. If I cut my hair, forget it. I won't be me.
And you know what? There's no collusion. There's no collusion with this guy. There's no way. And the ESPN court is right. They're showing him he's running because that's what he does best. Yeah. But in 20 years or so of management, I never had one issue where NHL managers / owners were colluding. The only time they could agree on anything was trying to make it more difficult to give away money to the players. But other than that, anybody signed whoever they wanted when they were a free agent. Sometimes they screwed each other as partners. Well, so I think it's a real tough thing for collusion to be.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's driven by people like Scheim and Wiggy.
No, I didn't say it was collusion. I said it was strong arming, and I'd be interested to know if Mike's ever dealt with an agent that was a player's mother. I think that the league and the owners or front office people are strong arming the mother in the sense of like, we're going to kind of shut her out and make them desperate.
I had Brett Lindros, the younger and lesser Lindros, and we had to deal with his parents, and they were a giant pain in the ass, and it just makes it no fun at all. But it's about the only time I've had it, and it was as unpleasant an experience as I've ever had as a manager.
Yeah, I mean it's always interesting when somebody chooses a family member to do their deal for them,
right?
Yeah. And I don't know many cases where it works out well,
right? And maybe, and Mike says like if it becomes that much of a pain in the ass, is it something that maybe front office people go with? If we can, especially freeze her out, like it's not like you're dealing with a former player who's a parent, but you freeze her out, and it looks like. Now they are desperate, and you can almost lowball them.
Okay, but it could also be that the NFL teams feel the same way, apparently, that the Ravens do, and that Lamar Jackson is just not worth, because of the risk of injury, is just not worth the money that they're trying to get. That could be the easy solution here. It doesn't always have to be a conspiracy.
Bingo.
Yeah, well,
I agree with you.
When they were willing to give they gave a supermax contract to an alleged predator, it's kind of hard to justify that for a guy who was an MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was there a better track record?
No, Deshaun Watson, he had actually blew his knee out.
He played on an ACL, torn ACL.
Blew his knee out twice.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson also had a 4-12 season. Lamar Jackson hasn't even gone under 500. Like the guy wins 70% of his games. Like it's not even close.
So why are they colluding? Why are they colluding against him then, Shine?
Because they're trying to make a statement. Because the NFL doesn't want to pay the supermax contracts to any quarterback now, including Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. So if Lamar gets one, that means for a fact Herbert and Burrow are both going to get them later this offseason. And they don't want to pay those supermax deals. They don't want to have NBA contracts. They want to be able to make those fake money deals where it's 5 years, but the last 2 years really don't matter, and it's easy for them to unload.
But you think Joe Burrow, him getting that type of deal, he's relying on Lamar Jackson getting that deal? I think
absolutely.
They set the market.
If Lamar doesn't get that deal, Burrow will not get a fully guaranteed contract.
Don't you?
The market was already ridiculously set when Murray got that deal.
No, when Deshaun Watson.
And Kyler Murray before him.
Deshaun Watson screwed everybody up.
No, it was
elite quarterbacks.
It was a very similar deal that Kyler Murray
No,
got.
but Kyler Murray, if you really look at Kyler Murray's numbers, it's only like 165. Deshaun Watson is 230, fully guaranteed. And that messed it up for the elite quarterbacks, the Joe Burrows, the Lamar
Greg,
Jacksons.
How about them Bruins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Right. All right. So
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, let's talk about this evening and Connor McJesus and how great can this player end up being in your mind?
Pretty special already. I mean, I'm going to the game tonight. I seldom make the trip north to go to a game, but I want to see this kid play in person. His ability to skate is so ridiculous with the puck as well as without it. He seems to pick up speed even though he's got the puck on his stick. And his vision is second to nobody's, as good as Gretzky's. So he can be the one thing. I think I said it the last time we talked about him. I remember him playing against the Bruins, and he turned the puck over, as good players like Pasternak will do at the blue line. But then he came back and he tried to help out on a semi-2-on-1, couldn't decide where to go defensively, and wound up just doing nothing. And the Bruins scored. Foligno scored on the play. He's got to learn to play a little bit of the back end. I mean, you have to do that. You have to do that. I mean, even the great players figure out they have to back check once in a while. We talked about Ovechkin. You know, he couldn't figure out until Barry Trotz taught him how to play a little bit of defense, make a good line change. So he's so special, head and shoulders above any other talent in the league.
It seems like sacrilege to say this, but do you think the NHL needs to get him out of Canada?
It's not a sacrilege. It's common sense. You get him the hell out of there. It's crazy. I mean, what happened when Gretzky went to Los Angeles? Hockey exploded in various markets. I mean, he wanted to go there and stay there because I don't know why, but, you know, he signed the long-term contract, and now he's got to live with it. And, you know, they have real trouble drawing free agents to Edmonton for obvious reasons. In the middle of nowhere, not a great metropolis, can't sell a lot of, a lot of ads or get sponsorships for players. If he were in New York, whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
Mike, Marchand's obviously been great this season, but yesterday he was saying that he felt like he was going to be feeling better than he actually is, 9 months after his surgery. Obviously, they're in a great spot right now to be able to kind of limit his time on the ice, but does that worry you at all that he's saying he doesn't feel as good as he thought he would at this point in the season?
It's funny that he says that because he came back and said he felt better than he had in years after the surgery. Remember that when he first came back? But now it's one of the big questions facing Montgomery is, we've talked about this load management BS, but it's true now with Krejci and Marchand and Bergeron. He's got to find time where he can rest them. They have like 5 or 6 sets of back-to-back games on the weekend, playing Saturday and Sunday. Some are on the road, some are home and then away. I think that's the place to rest people. Don't let them travel. Play the home game. Don't let them travel. That's what he's got to face with not just the forwards, but also with his big defensemen. So, they're in great shape. The only thing that's bothering me about their team is the power play's fallen off a little bit. They've had a few days there to figure it out. I think the reason for it is because they've become too predictable, and they need to take some new looks. I heard that Orlov might have been elevated to the first power play unit yesterday for practice, but we'll see. But otherwise, I think they're in such a great spot so far ahead. But trying to manage the ice time for everybody, make sure the older guys are rested, that's Montgomery's challenge.
Mike, kind of back to Connor McDavid. Do you think that maybe NHL players need to be more selfish in the sense that you got a guy like that who has unbelievable talent, and maybe he has to go the route of whether it's, football or basketball, forcing his way out of Edmonton to a place where he can win championships, and go down as one of the greatest of all time, but also be able to say, I won multiple championships like a Gretzky or like a Lemieux?
Well, that's up to the player, right? I mean, I don't know if Connor McDavid loves it in Edmonton or if he's got a girlfriend that grew up there or what, but it's up to the player. If he wants to get out of there, trust me, he's going to find a way to make a big enough stink, as we've seen with other players, to get himself into a new city. And believe me, there'd be no shortage of people, other organizations that want to make a trade for him or give up major league assets, because he's kind of like no other right now. But I think it's incumbent upon the player to say, hey, listen, this isn't working out. I don't see any free agents coming here because they don't want to play in Edmonton, and we don't have enough money to pay them, or whatever the case may be. But I think McDavid, it's the same thing with Jack Eichel, who was in Buffalo. Now, we just signed an 8-year deal in Buffalo, and then he made us think about it because of controversy over an injury, and they moved him off to Vegas. I mean, why don't you just go to Vegas in the first place, or tell him he didn't want to be in Buffalo? Yeah. Anyway, that's how I see it.
Mike, Sean McDonough was on this radio station, this show yesterday, talking about the only team that he really fears looking ahead to the playoffs is the Hurricanes. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I've gone through it a number of times. I mean, Toronto, for example, is out of balance. Too many forwards, not enough good goaltending or defensemen. I think that, they could challenge because of their offense, but I don't think they match up. I don't think the Rangers have figured it out yet, although they have the talent to get there. They were really disjointed when they played on Saturday against the Bruins. It gave me a little bit of a pause for reflection. But the Carolina Hurricanes, the way they attack, I mean, they're a 5-man forechecking unit with great speed. Boston has decent speed, but it's not great. And they rely on getting quick breakouts out of the defensive zone. And Carolina is a team that can be very disruptive that way. And you've seen them play against the Bruins the last couple of years, and they've given them fits. And even though they didn't load up at the deadline, and the Bruins added several very good pieces, I would say that Carolina is the one team that concerns me most.
Mike, but don't you think, because I feel like hockey is the hardest sport to win a championship, and that the better team, we saw in 2019 with the Lightning, can get swept or can lose because, like in basketball, if you have the best player on the court, he can take over a game. Same in football if you have the best quarterback and that kind of thing. But I feel like in hockey, you might even have the better roster, but just maybe the other goalie stands on his head and they get a couple of, we call it the puck luck.
Yeah, Bobrovsky in that season you refer to was just unconscious, and he was tremendous. And in hockey, the will and want to play hard and the willingness to sacrifice can overcome some skill. That's the way I've seen it in hockey for a long time. If everybody's pulling on the same cadence and they're going in the same direction, they can overcome with checking a lot of the other team's skill. I mean, it's a hard job to do, and it's a hard job to do over the course of a 7-game series, but it can be done. But in the end, it relies on the guy between the pipes. If he's not on, and you're playing with a short-handed deck, you're probably going to get.
Well, luckily for us, nobody listened to Wiggy, and we got 2 of those guys. So, all right, Mike, it is always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, we'll talk to you. See ya.